Hey everyone, coming at you with a hobby project video on my new army I plan on finishing up for Warhammer Fantasy, or perhaps Warhammer the Old World. There'll be a bit of a proxy army if I want to run them in that. But this is my Halfling Army. Now, this was an army that Games Workshop never officially released, but in the fan-made Warhammer Armies project, they made a really well done, like, you look at it and you're like, wow, this looks almost like a Games Workshop Codex type rule book for halflings. And yeah, I've kind of tested it out a little bit, and generally around the internet, it's known as not the most competitive of armies, but definitely one that you can have a lot of fun with. And it's just more about the joy of taking halflings in a battle and all the quirkiness that comes with them. You got all kinds of fun little rules, like before the battle even starts, they all need to eat their pre-battle snacks, and that could go well or it could go bad. You never know; they might have some stale biscuits, or perhaps they'll have some nice brandy and bacon strips or something, and that'll like increase their strength. So, pretty cool army. And again, it's not really the most competitive. It's supposed to be a fun army that has a good little kind of narrative tied to them in each game. So I'm looking forward to that. The Blood Dragons ended up being a little bit stronger than I anticipated when it came to putting them on the tabletop. So I think this will be a little bit more of what I was looking for when I built that army. Like, it'll be decent enough and put up a good fight. I don't think anyone's just going to steamroll me, but I think it will be a real challenge to claim victory with these guys, and I like that. So, anyways, getting on to the hobby side of things, I started this army out with a mix of a few different kits. I believe the company is known as Max Mini, and they have an amazing halfling line. What I will say is, depending on what kind of scale you're looking for, they'll either be the perfect size for Warhammer, or they might be a little bit smaller than what you imagined a halfling being. For me personally, I love it, and I don't mind having a little bit of range in size of my halflings. Basically, as long as they're all like different sizes of short kings, I think that'll work fine for the army. So, anyways, I got some of the Max Mini halflings. You can see some of the heroes and stuff in the pictures here. And then the next kit I got was the Kings of War line of halflings. Again, these are going to be a little bit bigger than the Max Mini ones, so you might want that, or you might think that's too big for a halfling. I like the range of height that it kind of gives, and I like also mixing and matching the minis and units. I think it's kind of a cool thing to do. So their halfling line was very helpful for this. I bought like the militia box and the hound box, I believe. Pretty cheap too. And then in addition to that, I just started getting into 3D printing, and I used to buy like a couple of models and stuff off of Etsy, but yeah, I started 3D printing some of my minis and creating those from scratch pools of resin, and that was kind of the process for assembling all the parts. And then I should also mention too a hefty portion of Games Workshop bits and other various bits I have in my collection to make most of this stuff. For example, the Halfling Hot Pot here was made from all of the parts you could use in the Ogre Scrap Launcher. I built the Iron Blaster instead, and the elastic bands that you would use for the Scrap Launcher were perfect for making my Halfling Hot Pots. And I actually like made them both kind of identical. You can see in the picture there. So yeah, I'm kind of proud of that. It's almost like a little unofficial Games Workshop kit that I created. Pretty cool. Additionally, I got a couple of Bretonnians and ogres and other various units mixed in with the halflings. This is because I might have mentioned this already, but in my other videos, but my Bretonnians are kind of integrated very well with the halflings, and they're already in like a close border prince type territory where there's a lot of cultural integration. So I don't know. I like the idea of having like one or two Bretonnian knights kind of looking after the cavalry units of these halflings. You know, they've been coaching them all along the way and trying to build up their knightly skills. And they have similar armors and helmets, and you can tell like they're definitely taking after their bigger cousins cousins and trying to do whatever they can to imitate them. So cool ideas, I think, for the army's theme, and again tying into that kind of narrative story. So after I had all the units planned out, got everything on bases, and I also had to print a dragon because I had a friend's birthday coming up. So you'll kind of see that off on the side being worked on. It was a wonderful birthday gift, I was told. But anyways, yeah, after everything was based, we got the airbrush ready to go. And I kind of learned I need to set up a proper camera situation if I want to be like showing off airbrushing. Because, yeah, as I'm doing this, you can kind of tell all I'm able to really accomplish at this distance and like pressure level with the camera and everything, like being held, is basically like a glorified spray coat. But yeah, I do kind of give up on the camera, and I'm like, all right, let's actually try to get some progress done here. So basically, do some greens, then some browns, and a little bit of yellows and whites on these guys. I will say I probably could have done more with the airbrush, but I really didn't know 100% what I wanted the army's color scheme to be quite yet. I knew greens for the moot, and like I already had a couple of halflings painted up for my Bretonnian army, so I knew they would have similar colors to them. But yeah, I figured just get some base colors down, and then I'll get the brush on them soon enough and kind of feel things out and figure out what their color scheme's going to be. I mean, you never know. Maybe I want each unit to have something unique going on. So yeah, got everything spray painted, got everything based, and a little bit of airbrushing to speed up the next step, which is going to be getting the paintbrush on there and figuring out what kind of color schemes I want. As I began painting these guys, I started with my like kind of militia and archer units, like the most basic units and also the most numerous. I had quite a few I had to get done. As I started painting them, I liked the browns, and I also kind of liked some oranges I had going on there. My Bretonians have strong reds, but I realized like I could do some reds and then fall tones with these guys. And I think the harvest and the season of fall, also the season we're going through right now, I don't know, those colors I think actually work pretty well with halflings. So as I kind of continued painting them more and more, I got the sense that this is going to be some of my dominant colors, all the autumn color scheme in this army, in addition to a lot of greens. Got some base colors down on, like I said, the militia units and the archers at first. I was experimenting on the hot pot and my pantry guard, which are the big guys with the two-handed swords. Kind of experimenting with them a little bit on the side, but yeah, focusing on the militia and the archers. Got some base colors down on them. Then I started doing some watered down contrast paints and a little bit of inking as well. And that's when I kind of had those browns going in. And once they kind of desaturated all those bright primary colors I put on, I was like, oh, okay, this is where like the fall color scheme's kind of coming in. So that's actually where we're at right now with the halflings. I'll have a couple more shots coming up here of my progress work so far, a couple of the finished units I already had in my Bretonnian army, so you can kind of see the color schemes that I have to relate it to. But yeah, that's where we're at right now, and I think 1 maybe 2 weeks, because I do have Thanksgiving coming up and I have to go visit family. Yeah, I think 2 to 1 week and this army should be accomplished, and I'm looking forward to posting a video documenting the finished halfling army. The people of the moot rallied and ready to take on the battlefields of Warhammer Fantasy. And then the last couple of things I wanted to talk about in my little documented hobby video here is this dragon I printed out for a buddy's birthday. I started with some airbrushing on it. I got like the 4 primary colors that I wanted. This was going to be an ever chosen dragon, so it's got all the 4 colors of chaos, all the 4 gods kind of built into it. You can see with the blue, purple, red, and green. Yeah, so got some airbrushing done on it, then the primary colors, and then inking and just building it up, then inking, then building it up, then highlighting, etc., etc. It was actually about 24, like, well, I shouldn't say 24-hour project. It was I started it like late in the day, and then I finished it the following like afternoon after I had to get some real life work done. So was happy about that. Wasn't the most time consuming project, but it was fun working on that too because I've been kind of laboring away on those halflings for a couple of days, and they're small little projects, and it's nice to swap over to something big and kind of centerpiece like. Yeah. And again, my friend was happy with that, so glad I could give that as a gift for his birthday. And then after that, I had a old Warhammer board that actually I shouldn't say I had this Warhammer board. A friend made this Warhammer board way back in the day, like 10, 15 years ago, maybe even longer. I don't know. Um, and it was great at the time. It's also a 48 by 48, so it's a little small for like larger scale Warhammer games. But I have additional boards you can slide on for a full table size. But yeah, I had this 48 by 48 board he kind of left with me, and it's serviced our tabletop games for many, many years. And it's gotten a lot of wear and tear. It's also kind of like always been this gray, like Astro 40K kind of turf. You could say more. It also works for like a Chaos Wasteland thing, but I don't know. It just like was kind of out of place for like the armies and stuff we've been playing lately, and I thought it was time to go back in and give this board some restoration work. So put a big old layer of glue on top of it, then a bunch of sand, and then wait for that to dry. Gave all that stuff a good couple of layers of paint, then sealed it again, then did some mix of herbs and spices all across to give like grass and texture effects, then gave that a couple of seals, and what do you know? We got a new game board to play Warhammer on and document all of my lovely hobby work. So, very excited about that. Managed to squeeze that in as well during my busy week of halflings and dragons. So, yeah, and then the very, very last thing is I got these cool halfling Mandalorians that I either ordered from like a shop or just like had laying around. Couldn't quite remember, but I've had these for like quite a while. Finally decided to bust them out, get them built up, and I'm gonna be using one or two of them in my army. But I plan on doing like a lot of work to kind of make them look real pretty and sell a couple of them on my Etsy shop. So be sure to check that out if you're interested in getting like a fully painted halfling Mando or halfling Boba Fett for Legion or for Warhammer or for Age of Sigmar. I mean, you could probably use it for 40K as well. I don't know. It's got a lot of versatility. So that's about it, folks. Been a busy week of hobby work, and I'm hoping either, like I said, next week or the week after to have these halflings all wrapped up and to be showing you some lovely photographs of the completed projects. So keep an eye out for that. Have a great week, and I'll be coming at you with a battle report really soon. So keep an eye out for that as well. Bye bye.